What it is, what it do. You already know. Latin Actor 209 is back for you. Alright, we're going to get into this video. It's about the sickest rapper. I'm not talking about sick like in the slang, like sick. When you see a lowrider, you say, oh, that's sick. You know what I mean? All fucking triple gold D's and, you know what I mean, candy apple fucking paint job. No, not that kind of sick. I'm not talking about like, oh, that song is sick. You know what I mean? We're just hitting, bumping and shit. You know what I mean? No, not that sick. And I'm not talking about coronavirus sick either. I'm talking about sick, sick. Like sick in the head, like insane, like loco in the cabeza, like loony bins, man. I'm talking about Hannibal Cannibal sick. Trip out. Antron Singleton became a drug addict after a painful car crash, and when he couldn't get his fix, he turned cannibal. Yes, indeedy. It wasn't graffiti, it was blood all on the walls. Allison Allen looked through the window of her East Los Angeles apartment and witnessed something shocking. She saw a black man running naked in the street. His face, chest, and stomach were covered in blood. As he ran, he was looking up to the sky. She called the police. When she hung up the phone, Allen ran to her friend's apartment. Tanisha had been spending time with Antron Singleton, aka Big Lurch, the man Allen had seen running in the street. When Allen entered Tanisha's apartment, she let out a blood-curdling scream upon seeing what had happened to her 21-year-old friend. Antron Singleton was born on September 15, 1976 in Fort Worth, Texas. However, he grew up in East Dallas. From the time he was a child, Singleton revealed his creative ability. By age 7, he started to write poetry and became inspired to become a rap artist. He started to perform his music to the public anytime the opportunity presented itself. He started performing under the name G Spade, but would later change it to Big Lurch. His new stage name was inspired by the 1960s television show The Addams Family. The show being a Gaulish family where the character of Lurch was the family's butler, just as the Lurch Singleton was a formidable size, measuring 6 feet 6 inches tall. Singleton moved to California as he felt it held greater promise for making it in the music business. Through the years, Singleton achieved some music success by performing on his own and as a member of a group. He worked with other rappers such as Looney Leon, Mac Dre, RBL Posse, and the Oakland, California rap group known as the Cosmic Slop Shop. The Cosmic Slop Shop's 1998 album, The Family, yielded the song Sinful, which became a minor hit. However, the group was not tight, and they broke up shortly after the release of The Family. Singleton kept trying, but he was getting discouraged. Establishing himself as an artist was more difficult than he had thought. His dream of becoming successful became more elusive each year that passed. In 2000, Singleton was driving home from his 24th birthday celebration when a drunken driver crashed into him. His injuries included a broken neck. During his stay in the hospital, he was heavily medicated for pain. The pain that he experienced would stay with him long after being discharged from the hospital. It also would play a role in a gruesome murder. Thomas Moore and his 21-year-old girlfriend, Tanisha, lived in southeast Los. Their apartment on 108th Street were in a distressed area of the city. It was located next to the Harbor Freeway, 2 liquor stores, and a cheap hotel. On April 19, 2002, Moore and Singleton got together to smoke PCP. Singleton used PCP because it relieved him from his lingering pain. Singleton knew Moore from the music business and was visiting the area to record an album. Tanisha was not at the apartment at the time, as she and her 2 children were visiting a friend. On April 20th in the afternoon, Singleton experienced a powerful pain. The pain-killing comfort from the night before was rapidly fading. Looking around his shabby apartment, he realized he was out of drugs. A horrific feeling rushed over him. It was a feeling that surfaced from the darkest part of him, a darkness that could no longer be contained. This darkness was now screaming at him, and he could not silence it. Every pain and disappointment he had ever had was now presenting itself to him in full force. Singleton drove back to Moore's apartment to get more PCP from him. Tanisha was alone in the apartment. Her 2 children were in school, and Moore was out. When she heard a knock on the door, she slowly opened it, just enough to see who it was. There was Singleton, aka Big Lurch, with a crazed look in his eyes. She immediately felt a chill rush through her as she knew this man was not all right. Before she knew it, Singleton plowed his way into the apartment, knocking her down. When she started screaming, Singleton beat her until she was quiet. The sounds of her screaming only intensified the fear he felt. He searched the apartment for the PCP, but could not find any. The feeling of desperation, fear, and anger overwhelmed him. He grabbed a large kitchen knife from the kitchen and plunged into Tanisha, causing her to scream before she grew quiet. He stabbed her repeatedly in the chest. At some point, while stabbing her, he realized it was not enough to satisfy his urge to destroy. Using the knife, he sliced open her chest cavity, grabbed her right lung, and began to feast on it like an animal. When he finished his morbid feast, he stripped off his clothes and ran out of the apartment. Tanisha's friend and neighbor, Elisa Allen, saw Singleton running down the street and called the police. The police arrived and arrested Singleton, who growled at them like an animal. Allen rushed to Tanisha's apartment to make sure she was all right. It was then she was confronted with the most horrific sight that would haunt her for the rest of her life. When the coroner examined her body, he found that she had multiple stab wounds. Her neck and jaw were broken and a fractured eye socket. Her chest had been ripped open and she was missing her right lung. A 3-inch knife blade had broken off near her left shoulder. When Singleton was examined, blood and pieces of human flesh were found inside his stomach. The blood and flesh was a match for his victim. Singleton's trial was arraigned on June 13th in Compton Superior Court. Upon hearing the evidence, Superior Court Judge Jack Morgan ruled that Singleton was sane at the time of the murder and would stand trial. His defense attorney was Milton Grimes, the owner of Singleton's record label, Black Market Records. During his trial, his defense attorney argued that he had been under the influence of PCP at the time of the killing. A psychiatrist testified that Singleton suffered mental impairment due to his drug habit. In less than an hour, the jury reached a guilty verdict. He was convicted of first-degree murder, torture, and aggravated mayhem. Singleton is serving a life without the chance of parole. This is Latin Active 209. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you the next time.